Hey guys, my name is Chelsea, and today I'm going to be doing the new to Booktube tag because I'm new to Booktube. This tag was created by Between Chapters, and I will leave a link to the original video in the description if you want to check that out. Question number 1, where are you joining us from? I am from Pennsylvania, good old PA. It's hot right now, in case you were wondering, current weather update. Question 2 is, how old are you? I just turned 25, and yes, I still read a lot of young adults. Question 3, why did you join Booktube? This is kind of a loaded question for me because I've actually already done Booktube and the whole book blogging world a couple years ago, and by a couple I mean probably 3 or 4 years ago. I got really big into book blogging and reviews and videos, but I was 20-ish, 21 at the time, and I feel like I overloaded myself way too much, so I just kind of burnt myself out after a couple months. I did like 50-ish videos before I just kind of stopped, and it's been a roller coaster ride up until this point. I've done so many things, I've moved so many times, but reading has always been consistent. I've always read a lot, always will read a lot, and I've kind of hit the point in my life where I've settled, and I just kind of want to make more book friends because where I am right now in my life, I don't have that many people to talk about books with, so that's what this is doing for me. Number 4 is, what is the meaning behind your channel name? Channel name is my name because I got sick of YouTube being like, hey, do you want to call your channel your own name? And every single time I clicked, no thank you, don't ask me again. And YouTube was like, hey, do you want to call your channel your own name? So I just kind of stopped fighting the system. I'm not sure if my old channel name is still on here somewhere. It used to be Caps Lock, which was my gamer tag because my initials are CAP, Cap, so I've always gone by Caps Lock in video games and everything, so I just kind of transferred into the reading world. But as far as I know, it's just my name. Question 5 is, what types of books do you read / what do you want to talk about on your channel? I clearly read a lot of YA. I'm still apparently a teenager in my mind. No, that's not necessarily true. I just really like reading from the perspective of kids. YA books tend to read quicker and be more intriguing than a lot of adult books. Not that adult books are all inclusive in that, but I just like the pacing of young adult books, and usually the subject matter is more appealing. But I also read a lot of adult books. I read a lot of sci-fi, I read a lot of graphic novels. I dabble here and there in middle grade. I've kind of grown out of that. I can't really relate to the characters as much anymore. There's not much intimidating to me as far as books go, so I'll kind of pick up anything if it seems interesting. Question number 6 is, who are some of your favorite authors? And I feel like that is up there with asking what your favorite book is. That's so hard to answer for me because I feel like I read a lot of different stuff, so I'm just gonna kind of list authors that come to my mind. Ellen Hopkins, Chuck Palahniuk, Patrick Rothfuss, Neil Gaiman, Libba Bray, Holly Black. That's enough. Question number 7 is, what is the last book that you read? And that would be More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. Read this book, it's good. Question number 8 is, what are you currently reading? I generally read about 3 books at a time. I generally am reading one ebook on my phone, one physical book, and I'm generally listening to a book. So 3, there we go, that was awkward. The ebook that I'm reading is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. The physical book that I'm reading is Magonia. And the book that I'm listening to is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hopkins. Yeah, I read a lot. Question number 9 is, what do you use for bookmarks? I'd like to say that I use bookmarks, but it kind of tends to be whatever happens to be lying around. Piece of paper, receipt, the dust jacket of a hardcover if I'm reading a hardcover. I have a lot of bookmarks. I couldn't tell you where like half of them are, just in boxes somewhere or somewhere on my bookshelf. Generally when I'm reading, I'm not usually anywhere that has the bookmark readily available, so it's just my hand as I carry the book from room to room, or I don't know, whatever's close by. Number 10 is show us your TBR pile. You say that like that's possible. Do you see the amount of books that are behind me? I have an entire library, so my TBR pile is more like a TBR book case. There's a lot. Question 11 is kind of a this or that type of question for a couple of different things. So it's which do you prefer, hardcover or paperback? The material side of me prefers hardcovers because they look pretty on my shelves. My financial side prefers paperbacks because they are obviously cheaper. I tend to prefer reading a paperback versus a hardcover because I won't hit myself in the face with it when I'm lying in bed, but I generally like owning hardcovers more. That's just kind of how I am. They look better on my shelf. Next one is ebooks or physical books. If you had asked me this question probably like 5 years ago, I would have always said physical books because I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I worked at Barnes & Noble for about 6 years, and those 6 years were when e-readers started coming out. So I feel like working there kind of killed the appeal of it because it was so pushed on us to sell them that I never wanted to own one. Yes, I do own one. Do I use it? Not really, to be honest. I read on my phone a lot now. I generally prefer having the physical copies of the books, but I read in bed a lot, and it's just easier to read on my phone in the dark, like the creepy person that I am, than to hold the book, because I've apparently gotten lazy. And the next one is owning or borrowing. Obviously owning. Borrowing, I don't really have that many friends that read as much as I do, so I'm generally the person to loan books out, and that makes me incredibly nervous because they are my babies. Please take care of them if I give you one of my books. So I'm gonna say owning, because I generally own more than I lend. Question number 12 is what book or series got you into reading? I have pretty much always read. My mom is a very big reader, and she always read to me and my brother when we were kids, so I can't really remember a time of not reading. Some of the books that come to mind, that's really shiny, these books. I have always been a horse girl. I own horses, and this is pretty much what started it all. Black Stallion, Pony Pals, Heartland. If it had a horse on the cover, I read it. That was pretty much my only requirement from the ages of like 0 to, well, present day, to be honest. But outside of these, I pretty much read everything. Anything my brother had, Goosebumps, Animorphs, anything like that. As far as like not children's books, I was really into the Sweep series by Kate Tiernan. That's one of the first series that I remember binge reading, like begging my parents to take me to the bookstore, and I bought like 5 of them at a time and read them straight through. After that, I've always read. Nothing really got me into reading. I've just always read. Question number 13 is how did you discover Booktube? I've always been a YouTube addict. I started watching like Blair and Elle when they very first started and were living at home, their videos, and Shane Dawson, Charles Trippy, Shay Carl. I've watched a lot of the daily vloggers, and for some reason makeup tutorials got really interesting to me, and then it just kind of progressed from there, the way YouTube does, where you're like, related video, that looks interesting, let me click on this one, let me click on this one. And somehow it just occurred to me to look for book stuff because I liked reading, and I discovered, I can't think of any of the original people that I watched years ago, but it was based a lot off of the blogs that I followed because I blogged a lot. So I watched the people that I followed in the blog world. I watched their videos and the In My Mailbox videos, if anybody remembers those. And when I got back into it, Kat from Katie Tastic and Christine, Jessie, Reagan, all of them, of course, they're the best of the best, so of course I watch them. Question 14 is what challenges do you think you'll face with your own channel? I feel like I'm coming back to this with a fairly good perspective as far as what I think I'm capable of doing on this channel, because I've already done this. I feel like I've gotten kind of a crash course in what I succeed at and what I don't. I'm not very good at keeping up with like a schedule of reviews, so the idea of doing a TBR video and then a wrap-up video every month is definitely way more appealing to me. There's a lot less pressure to review every single book that I read, rather than just going over like, hey, I read all this month, this is what I thought. I kind of think I'll do better this time. I guess the only thing that I'm concerned about is keeping up with content, because you can only do so many book hauls and wrap-up videos before people lose interest. So I guess content is the only thing that I see being a challenge. And question 15 is, where can we find you social media-wise? I don't really have much outside of this. I have an Instagram, which is capslock179, but that's generally just pictures of my horses, forewarning. That's pretty much what I post. It's horses and books, and occasionally my cat. That makes me sound like a sad person, but there you have it. So yeah, feel free to do this. I will leave the questions in the description if you want to copy those and do this video also. Same with the original video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!